one has to purify one's existence by awakening Krishna consciousness and rendering service by using his tongue to chant the holy name and by tasting the remnants of Lord's food. In this way, one can gradually purify and will be able to chant. The next lesson we learned was face turn to service. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yas chasmi tatvata tato mam tatvata jnatva vishate tat anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of God, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Therefore, the face to turn towards the service, not to turn our face away from the devotional service. Today, we will get to the next section titled as to Blind to Transcendence. There was once a blind man whose friend told him one day, "You must drink milk because milk is the best preparation there is. I live on milk." The blind man had never tasted milk, so he asked, "What is milk?" His friend told him, "Milk is a white liquid." "What is white?" the blind man asked. "White is the color of a crane." "What is a crane?" The friend realized all his words meant nothing to the blind man, who had never seen anything and therefore had no frame of reference. The blind man could only touch. The friend felt compassion and said, "I will show you what a crane is." He arched his hand and placed it on top of his other arm to indicate the bent neck of the crane and said, "The crane has a neck like this. Here, touch." The blind man was shocked and answered, "Oh no, I will never drink milk. It will get stuck in my throat." We are in a similar situation. We are blind to transcendence because the material senses can only realize material objects. Is there hope for us? All we can do with our material tongue is chant letters of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. But Krishna's holy name is something quite different from the letters of our alphabet. He is the non-material personality of Godhead. This raises the question, what does a conditioned soul chant? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada are of one mind in answer. An ordinary conditioned soul chants the Aksharanama, the external syllable, not yet the real name. But while trying to chant, if we turn to Krishna in a mood of seva, the Lord out of his mercy might reveal himself like a kind father. The Lord becomes pleased by our attempts and then appears. And if he is present, you will feel the difference. The point here is that we can never understand the Lord with our imperfect senses. We can do as many yoga exercise as we want. We can apply the very best concentration techniques, but we are still dwarfs trying to touch the moon. Our senses just don't reach. Our only hope is, so to say, the moon will somehow come come down to us. Moving on, Seva Dhama. So the point that we need to understand is we look at the way that Maharaj is emphasizing on one's important message here. He has written this book He is given guidelines, techniques, exercise, and everything. But then ultimately, we do all those things, but it is the moon has to come down. We cannot go to the moon. That is the point here is that we can never understand the Lord with our imperfect senses. We can do as many yoga exercises as we want. We can apply the very best concentration techniques, but we are still doors trying to touch the moon. Our senses just can't, don't reach. Our only hope is so that to say that moon will somehow come down to us. That does not mean to say that we stop doing all these things. We'll do, and moon will come down. Sevadhana. In the four active relationships with Krishna, service is the common underlying factor. Krishna's servants, friends, parents, and lovers all wish to serve him in their specific ways. The intention to serve is at the heartbeat of their every thought. Therefore, if we wish to realize our own specific relationship to Krishna, we must first enter the service mode. From there, our unique relationship can manifest. Everything starts with desire. When we sit down to chant the holy name in Japa or Kirtana, we must desire to serve. This is the original identity, Swarupa, of all Jivas. At initiation, Vaishnavas receive a last name that really is the best name there is, Dasa or Dasi. It indicates that our dharma or essential occupation is to perform service. This essential quality lies dormant in us like the potency of fire within a match. At first, a match gives a flicker of fire, but given the right circumstances, it has the capacity to burn down a whole town. Not even 1,000 strong men can extinguish the full blaze, all started by a little match. In the same way, every living being has a dormant inner impulse to perform Krishna Seva. As soon as we begin to display this mood of service while we chant or perform other bhakti practices, our spiritual nature begins to gradually unfold and our specific rasa becomes revealed. At the moment, we are, unfortunately, wasting our seva potency in dealing with this world, family, society, partners, and the endless arrays of sense objects that promise satisfaction. Therefore, the flame of our natural relationship with Krishna is only slightly manifested. We want to serve, and yet our focus on Krishna is divided. This divided attention takes us in all directions, and we remain frustrated with our limited experience of happiness. This frustration can only be cured when we start to cultivate a deep desire to serve Krishna. The frustration can only be cured when we start to cultivate a deep desire to serve Krishna. Only if we take up our seva dharma, which we are made for, is the full manifestation of our true selves possible. For whatever reason, when we feel disinclined to take up service to Krishna, the interest can be rekindled by knowledge of Him through lectures or scriptures, which naturally invoke His attractive nature. If this natural inclination is not given a chance to express itself, we will continue the petty, frustrating service to our mind and senses. Two more paragraphs of this blazing inclination to serve. When the soul attains the advanced stage of mukti, liberation, When the soul attains the advanced stage of mukti, liberation, and enters into Brahman, the impersonal effulgence emanating from the Lord, the burning potency of Seva Dharma is extinguished. Not a flicker of light can be perceived as the jiva tries to merge into God. After all, if the servant becomes one with the served, there will be no service at all. Who would serve whom? The soul would become spiritually dead. Last paragraph. It is for this reason impersonalists will never be empowered chanters. They would have to manifest a service attitude in their chanting, which requires, by definition, a personal understanding of God. The concept of an impersonal God extinguishes the soul's seva dharma, a match submerged in water. Only when the match is retrieved and dried can the burning potency again be released. It's a beautiful point here, starting with the blind man's story. How much ever you say to the blind man is not going to understand what the object looks like. We can try our best, but it's not going to be of much use. Not to say that we should not make an attempt, that how much ever we chant, how much ever techniques we do in chanting, we are not going to understand Krishna. We are not going to understand the glories of Holy Name. But we do that hoping that Krishna one day or the other will reveal himself in his holy name to us. Therefore, we try to do the best that we could in our chanting. Thank you all very much. You all have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.